Okay, we are expecting Superintendent Torlakson sometime within the next 15 minutes or so. We hope there's a couple items that we're gonna add in here. First of all, the chancellor wanted to bring up an issue. So, Chancellor.
Okay. When I had you approve the task force, I had attempted to contact one other person and had not been able to do so. I was able, through Marlene Garcia, to contact him this morning, and he has agreed to serve on the task force, and I'd like to get your approval. His name is Ruben Lazardo. He is connected with Policy Link. He's an individual who is a person who has exercised a great deal of leadership, particularly in dealing with underserved students. So I would like a motion to approve the addition of Ruben Lazardo.
Member Azumi?
I move that.
Member Azumi?
I move that we add Ruben Lazardo.
Second? Member Thomas? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay. I thought we would take the next little bit here and just talk about the board goals that we came to yesterday at our retreat, as well as a couple of other issues that we intend to bring forward at our March meeting at the request of various members. We, much like the previous year, the board felt that it really did us a lot of good, gave us a sense of direction and a sense of accomplishment by creating a few goals for ourselves last year and having the good fortune to have a few of them actually come to fruition. We thought we would do the same again this year, and so I wanted to, well, have the chancellor introduce our new superintendent.
Well, we were actually filibustering till you got here, Tom.
Yeah.
But we were discussing something quite important, and our president will return to that. But I would really enjoy introducing at this time Tom Torlakson. Tom and I had the privilege in 1996 of coming to the assembly together. And he represented the Contra Costa County area, and I represented the Pasadena area. So we served together for 4 years in the assembly, and then both of us ran for the Senate, and we were fortunate to be elected, and we served 8 years together in the Senate. So I have known and appreciated Tom Torlakson for a long time. Tom, in fact, sat behind me in the Senate, so we often engaged in conversation. He was a member of the Education Committee, and he's a person who was a high school teacher prior to coming. He was also a county supervisor, I might add, but he was a high school teacher, and not only a teacher, but a cross-country coach. And Tom's one of those kind of people that remain dedicated to running and bicycling, and he was kind of our fitness guru in the legislature, encouraging all of us to engage in physical fitness activities. But he was one of the most effective legislators. He carried a lot of legislation. He was one of those kind of individuals that was extremely active, given a lot of responsibility. I believe you chaired the Appropriations Committee, so that's always a difficult but a very important task. And so he then, of course, has concluded his legislative career by running for and being elected as Superintendent of Public Instruction. And he began on January 1st, and Tom and I have already had a couple of conversations about ways in which K through 12 public schools and community colleges can work together. And he's brought with him an individual who is a vice chancellor or vice superintendent, deputy superintendent, I think is the title over, and that Patrick Ainsworth, who is the real expert on career technical education. And he and I have also been privileged to work together on things involving career technical education. I've always appreciated his expertise. So we invited Tom to come and speak to us today, and after he makes his comments, and members of the Board of Governors will have the opportunity to talk with him. And Tom, these are our individuals that are on our Board of Governors, a very excellent board, and so now the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Chancellor, and it's great to be with you. Thank you for the great opportunity, the invitation to work together and to interact with your Board of Governors. We have indeed a long, close friendship and working relationship, including bike rides. So we see each other out there by Blue Diamond or on the way to Cal State, Sacramento on the bike trails many a morning. But I think it's been a little too cold the last few mornings, Jack, right, to get out there? But it's always been a delight to work with Jack Scott. And in fact, I don't know if you recall, Jack, that on our first tour in the Assembly, you were chair of the subcommittee on education, and I was one of your right hands to keep things moving. Things have changed a little bit since those days 14 years ago, and so we do face some really rugged times, and I thought you might be postponing this to be hearing what the governor is saying directly at this moment, but we know it's a tough budget and tough challenge for all of us to make ends meet and to, educate our kids, our students, adults, and youngsters to the best degree possible for the global economy and for their own welfare and their own well-being. So I'm, again, really pleased to be here. Look forward to working shoulder to shoulder with you, because we really serve the same families and the same students. And in Senate Bill 70, landmark legislation by your chancellor, we've, looked at how we should be tied into the economy and preparing young people for the jobs of our local regions and the state. So, Mr. President, I look forward to working with you and your board as we go forward. Some of you may have heard that we declared before the budget announcements of today that we were in a state of fiscal emergency in the K-12 system, and you might be able to say close to some of the same of the challenges that are facing us, the impacts that have already occurred over the past several years. And so as I traveled up and down the state and served in the legislature, in the Senate, and in the Assembly, we kept seeing things deteriorate in terms of the level of funding investment and the consequences, particularly of the last 3 years. So mindful of that, of teachers previously suffering, the teacher workforce, 30,000 layoffs, and more than numbers, the chaos of pink slips and uncertainty, trying to recruit and retain new teachers into the K-12 system. Huge challenge in the midst of this kind of budget uncertainty. And on top of that, the other part of the team, which you well recognize, you need your professors and your teachers, and you have the whole classified team of support staff. The K-12 system suffers somewhere close to 10 to 15,000 full-time equivalent layoffs. And about 174 of the K-12 districts out of the 1,000 districts in the state are in a fiscal urgent position. They're on the edge of whether they'll make it or not through the next couple of budgets. So we're hopeful to see the details. We've just gotten a preliminary read of what the details may look like in the budget. But no matter what, it's going to mean less money compared to the cost of living and other costs facing us than we would like for our students. As some of you also know, I have a different role besides being here as your K-12 representative. I teach on a community college faculty, so as an adjunct faculty at Los Badones Community College. So I was grading papers over the holidays, trying to make sure I got everything done on time. We are so proud of the education system in California, the mission that was set out, the years of thinking and investing, and I know we're united in trying to bring back that greatness, to bring California back to the top of the nation in community college system and the K-12 system. And I'm looking forward to many different ways that we could work together. So far, in terms of Chancellor Scott and I having discussions, we have focused on everything from career tech and adult ed, the issues of the impacts of flex on the adult ed programs, what it means for the many tens of thousands of people seeking improvement in skills so they'll be employable, so they'll fit into the regional economy. The issue of basic skills and transfer to high school to the community college, and how can we better prepare our students in the high school years so they'll be ready for going right to work in your community college. The issues of dual enrollment, those are key issues that we want to work with you on. And just a whole host of issues I think that we could collaborate on in terms of operations. Both Chancellor Scott and I have worked very hard together in the past on fostering joint use and looking at new and creative ways to do that. I've been amazed as I've traveled up and down the state and talked to superintendents and school board members at some of the very innovative things that are going on and cost-saving things that are taking place, but also looking at the possibility by collaborating not only with community college and K-12 schools, but our universities and also our cities. So I'm really looking forward to those opportunities. And Chancellor, I'd be glad to answer questions or have some further dialogue, but I just wanted to start off by saying I look forward to a very positive working relationship with you all.
Board members?
Mr. President?
I would just say, Superintendent, first of all, congratulations, and you have a big challenge ahead. I was really delighted to hear some of your comments, and your colleague to your left there and I worked quite closely together when I was up here in Sacramento. But in particular, this board, I think, took a big step last year when we met with the State Board of Education and Superintendent, and one of our goals this year is to try to further that relationship, possibly host a joint meeting again, talk about issues like concurrent enrollment, career tech, other things where we truly do have a common interest. So I'm really delighted to hear that's on your radar screen again, and to the extent that the Chancellor and you can work together to facilitate that, we would be very excited for that.
And in addition to that, I thought that was a very positive step to have the joint meeting of the boards, and look forward to the follow-up on that. When we had our meeting last week here in these offices, assigned Department of Education staff to work with your staffs to really pursue each of these areas and come back with new ideas, regulations we could knock down or get out of the way, as well as collaborative project ideas. I also believe we should maybe reinvigorate or make more regular the education roundtable, so that we're dealing with the full spectrum of our education institutions collaborating very closely together, and the timeliness of the June election for the revenue being continued that we need to keep from further cuts to occur. I believe we should probably have a roundtable meeting sometime in late February or March that we could work with President Udall and Chancellor Reed as well.
Very good. Member Izumi.
Well, I want to add to President Himmelstein's congratulations, Superintendent, for your election, and we certainly, all of us, look forward to working with you. I know that I myself have worked with Patrick Ainsworth on the Joint Committee on Career Technical Education, and that's been a great experience with for the number of board members here who I think we've made good progress, and it's been a great working relationship with the department. So I appreciate that. And I just wanted to, following up a little bit on what the President said, we just had a presentation about the implementation of SB 1440, where you had a lot of collegial working together between the community college faculty and the CSU faculty on the issue of
Yes.
the transferable associate degree. And I just wanted to, just your general thoughts on, the same type of, collegiality between K-12 faculty and community college faculty, and where you see that and how, that could end up helping building on student success, basic skills, that sort of thing.
Well, absolutely, and commendations to you all and to the Chancellor for working out those protocols under that legislation. And it seems like a lot has gone forward positively in terms of articulation and smoothness for our students to be able to make it on to get the degrees they need. And I would like to say you have my commitment to work very closely with you also in that articulation between our high schools as well, right into community college. We want to work with you also in any way we can to prepare those who will transfer into our community colleges to be the ones who will graduate and get their AA and go on and transfer to the universities and get higher education further. So I really look forward to working on that with you.
Members? Member McDougall.
Yes, Superintendent, I'd like to offer my congratulations as well, and just to comment that I think it's wonderful that you're here today, that you have the relationship of trust and confidence that you do with our Chancellor, Chancellor Scott, and to state how much I think can be accomplished by the systems working together, and particularly to have the support from the top down. I think sometimes what happens during times of great financial stress is a bunker mentality develops. And you kind of just draw the wagons in close and you try to survive. And I think even though that's a natural reaction, it's counterproductive to what the times call for and what is needed. And I think maybe we should look at it as a real opportunity for collaboration. And I'd just like to reiterate the three areas that you highlighted, because the potential in these areas for students and for the state of California is substantial. And that's first the career and technical education program area, and particularly programs that are highly coordinated, 2+2 programs, for example, that start during the junior and senior year of high school and then translate into the first and second year. Or they become a 3-year program because of all that the students have done during the last 2 years of high school. But they're very well defined, the objectives and benefits are clear, and it's something that I think can be communicated at the highest levels by yourself and the Chancellor that will resonate with the public of what is taking place that is good about education. I think the second area is the area of dual enrollment and accelerating, if you will, college completion. And many, many students already are taking advantage of this, that during their high school years are taking college-level courses, and they graduate from high school and they have completed a year of their baccalaureate degree already, and they can cut that expense down, so it's a great benefit to the family, and obviously it's a tremendous benefit to the state of California in that it's cutting by 25% the cost of a baccalaureate degree. So I think those two programs have really have tremendous benefits and returns to them, and I think with your support, Chancellor's support, they can flourish a bit. And I think the third, and maybe in many respects, what is most important for the state to flourish is the college readiness emphasis, and being very clear on what it means to be college ready, and to try to get as large a proportion of our high school graduates who are college ready as possible. And here, I don't think it's a job just of K-12. I think it's a job of community colleges and K-12 to collaborate, and also bringing in UC and CSU into the equation. I think if there's one area where there's a tremendous loss in human potential and a high cost to the state, it's that inability to engage students during their high school years so that when they complete high school, they are fully ready to flourish in the higher education system. So just to summarize, I think it's a time of fiscal stress where you can buckle down or you can move out and innovate. I'd like to encourage the latter just from your comments and from the chancellors. I think that's what you're predisposed toward. And I think that California can be a model for how students can benefit, families can benefit, and the state can benefit in the three areas that were discussed.
Well, absolutely, and you can wring your hands or just sit back and groan about the problems, but there are opportunities in the midst of a crisis to rethink our systems, to rethink our partnerships. As Jack was saying, I'm a coach by background too, 25 years coaching, and the team theme, the working as teams is critical to success. And the parents and the students, the voters, the taxpayers of California know the kind of work you just described is so smart, to have the dual enrollment, to have students, instead of having to take 5 years to get a BA or Bachelor of Science degree, they can get a year in, maybe 2 years in some of the pilot programs I've seen and heard about in other parts of the state. In the Inland Empire is one example. You're getting well on your way to college, and then whether it's 1 or 2 courses and maybe not a full year, the seriousness, the adult atmosphere at the community college, the seriousness of the other students in upgrading their skills also imparts to the youngsters who may take advantage of an advanced mathematics class or a technical course that's offered at the community college. It helps them also focus on the other goal you mentioned, which is really thinking about college as part of their long-term plans for success. So I look forward to working with you on all of those fronts. And from programs where we have AVID and we have other ways to get young people to think about themselves as college graduates, we need to encourage that very much. Another program that I'm looking into, want to look into, I mentioned to Chancellor Scott, is one that some other states have done where they're looking at what they're having to spend in remedial work at their universities and at their community college levels, and taking some of that money and putting it into career orientation, career thinking, even down to middle school, and then saying, if you wish to go in this direction to be, biopharmaceutical chemist, or whether you want to be a doctor, or whether you want to be a computer technician, or whatever the field of endeavor may be, that orientation comes with, these are the courses you need to graduate and go on to this kind of a career. And the apparent result in other states that have taken some of this money and invested it up front is they're finding less remediation needed, because the students get more serious early on why they need to take their math and advanced math, why they need to learn to read and write so well, and take the science courses needed. And that is creating a higher graduation rate, less dropout, and more college going. So that all fits together with the college readiness.
Right. Yeah. Chancellor Scott.
On this issue of dual enrollment, let me first identify the barrier, and then let's suggest maybe we could come up with a creative way to solve this problem. The barrier is money. And part of it is that certainly K through 12 has some hesitation if they lose the ADA in this. And community colleges has some hesitation because we have a cap on us. And if we go over here and offer additional courses at the high school, then, of course, we've already exceeded our cap. But, if the state could recognize, if we could come up with a formula that would show that it actually saves money in the long run, because it does. I think I've told this story, but my granddaughter in her last year in high school went over to Moore Park College and got a full year of her education, and as a result graduated from college in 3 years. Now that saves money. And the state has it set up now to where we have an economic barrier to doing these things. If some way or another we could get a breakthrough at the state level, and they could understand that we are actually saving them money by the fact that somebody finishes a year, or even, as you said, in some cases 2 years, but at least to finish a full year before they even go to college, then that means that you're going to get a bachelor's degree in 3 years or an associate degree in 1. So I think if we could work on this, surely then the legislature and the governor could understand that if they gave us money to do this, that they'd save money in the long run.
Totally agree.
Member Thomas, then Member Malumed.
Thank you, and I'd like to also offer my congratulations to your recent election, Superintendent Torlakson. My question, I think you touched on it just briefly, but do you have thoughts on methods or ways or plans that you might have to get students, and I'm thinking actually maybe not high school, but before high school, get students and their parents to see themselves as college bound, to see themselves as potential for college, so that while we deal with the college readiness maybe in the high school, but we have to have students who see themselves as college material before. And so many of our really young folks and their parents don't see that as a necessary or a possibility of a pathway for them. Do you have any thoughts on how we can work towards that?
Well, building on the previous dialogue around that, I again feel that programs like AVID, their specific focus is to have young people imagine in middle school as well as the early grades in high school, early years of high school, that they are college material. They have the potential. And then you look at other kinds of projects that do mentoring, that do outreach, particularly to students from impoverished backgrounds or disadvantaged backgrounds. You have Project Lead the Way, Puente, you have MESA, that are targeted in particular areas to get a young person to imagine that their curiosity about the world and their wonder of how things work could lead them to be a scientist or an engineer, and give them the tutoring, mentoring, after-school programs that would enable them to not only envision it, but help them along the way over the tough math courses and over the tough science courses they need to continue that career right on, that track right on to college. So I see us being able to do more of that, and I do believe as we work in the Senate Bill 70 process with our regional collaboratives, with our business community, in many parts of California where you have a rich and strong tie between the business community and the schools, they are offering those opportunities too, where you come to visit the Northrop Grumman campus. They send technical staff and engineers over to the schools nearby, and there becomes this vibrant interaction, which also enables young people to see themselves fitting in on a career track towards those very good jobs. So I think working in tough financial times with our business community is also something that we could expand further than what we're doing already.
Member Malumed.
Well, congratulations on your election. I'm very excited that you're there. And I wanted to just let you know, as immediate past president of the board, that I think we have a very energetic board. We're always looking for ways to do things better, even before financial hard times occurred. So please think of us as partners. I like your coaching background because we do talk a lot about your K through 12 issues and would like to be a part of the solution. And I liked Member McDougall talking about the college-ready emphasis and ways that we can help with that. So definitely keep us in mind. And as a physician, that is why the career and technical education is what attracted me to being on this board. So that's an area that I also feel very strongly about. And anything we can do to help, keep us on your list.
We'll
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any
I
other-
might mention one other thing, if I can, Mr. President, that the comments from board members sparked. Visiting a number of campuses and looking at programs on giving examples of where we could do some joint work, and not knowing all the answers yet, but having some idea that breaking down some barriers, make it easier to do JPAs between community college and K-12 schools, between cities. And if we were going to do solar, I know of areas where the city would like to do solar in all of its buildings. The school, K-12, wants to do it. The community college, they're all one community. Economy scale negotiations, deals around energy savings, both the retrofit and the solar installation. I believe there's hundreds of millions of dollars we can save there. LA has done a great job. Larry Eisenberg has done a great job in building a program there in conjunction with IBEW and some of the trades. Kern Community College District visited down there. They're going energy independent. I think they have a goal in 5 or 6 years to be off the grid. But why can't we do more of that faster and in partnership with our other agencies? There may be some PUC rules that we're looking into that could be changed. Right now, a site for distributed energy generation can only do something that's a cap for that one site, but if you have 5 campuses within a certain area and you want to do a joint project that you do all the generation on one site, you're not allowed to, which is very inefficient. So there's things like that I believe really could work closely together. Everything from joint purchasing, joint payroll, joint vehicle maintenance. There may be a host of other areas that we can find new ways to break down barriers, make it easier for us to work together and save money, put more money in the classroom.
Other board member comments? Thank you very much, Superintendent. Appreciate you taking the time to visit with us. Really look forward to working with you and your board on furthering our relationship, particularly around concurrent enrollment, college readiness, and career technical education. We really look forward to it, and thanks so much for your time. Glad to see you've kept around Mr. Ainsworth.
Thank you, Scott.
We look forward. Shoulder to shoulder. We'll work together, shoulder to shoulder. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Okay, and Jerry, I think is lunch ready? Okay, we are going to adjourn for lunch and reconvene around 1 o'clock.